In the name of the Father and of the Son. I'm David, and today I'm going to teach you a prayer that, when said correctly, will attract unlimited wealth into your life. But before I give you the prayer, I need to tell you something that will completely change how you understand prayer, wealth, and manifestation. This prayer is not what you think it is. It's not a magic spell. It's not a shortcut. It's not a cheat code to bypass spiritual growth. This prayer is a consciousness shift, a frequency, alignment, a vessel creation. And if you don't understand what that means, the prayer won't work. You say the words and nothing will happen. But if you understand what I'm about to teach you, if you grasp the principle behind the prayer, if you align your consciousness with the frequency of abundance, this prayer will transform your financial reality. Not because the words are magic, but because you will become a different person. A person who can receive, a person who can hold, a person who can multiply. So let me start with the prayer, and then I'll explain why it works, and then I'll show you how to use it correctly. The prayer is this: Adoni Eloha Bidvaro in English. This means, blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, by whose word everything came to be. That's it. That's the prayer. One sentence takes about 15 seconds to say. Now you might be thinking, that's it? That's the secret prayer? That's what's going to attract unlimited wealth? And the answer is yes and no. Yes, if you understand it. No, if you don't. Let me explain. This prayer is not about asking God for money. This prayer is not about begging for wealth. This prayer is not about convincing God to give you abundance. This prayer is about recognizing the source, acknowledging the power, aligning with the frequency. Let me break it down word by word, because every word matters. Every word is a key. Every word unlocks a different aspect of abundance consciousness. Baruat, blessed are you, Lord. This is not flattery. This is not trying to butter God up so He'll give you what you want. This is recognition. You're recognizing that there is a source, a power, a force, and that force is the source of all abundance. Not your job, not your business, not your skills, not your hustle. The source is God. The source is the Creator. The source is the infinite abundance of the universe. When you say Baruat Adonai, you're shifting your consciousness from I create wealth to God creates wealth through me. This is critical, because if you think you are the source, you'll always be limited. You'll always be stressed. You'll always be anxious, because you're trying to create something out of nothing. But when you recognize that God is the source, when you acknowledge that abundance flows from the infinite, when you align with that truth, you become a vessel, a channel, a conduit, and abundance flows through you effortlessly. Elohim, our God, King of the universe. This is about sovereignty. This is about recognizing that God is in control, that God governs, that God rules, not the economy, not the market, not your boss, not your circumstances. God. When you say Melam, you're declaring that God is sovereign over your finances, that God has the final say, that God can override any circumstance, any obstacle, any limitation. This is faith. This is trust. This is Bitomi. You're not trusting in your own ability. You're not trusting in the economy. You're not trusting in luck. You're trusting in the King of the universe. And when you trust the King, when you align with His sovereignty, when you surrender to His rule, He provides, He blesses, He multiplies. Shahaki Bidab, whose word everything came to be. This is the key. This is the secret. This is the power. Everything came to be by God's word, not by His hands, not by his effort, not by his struggle, by his word. In Genesis, God speaks and creation happens. Let there be light, and there was light. Let there be land, and there was land. Let there be abundance, and there was abundance. God creates with words, and you are made in God's image, which means you also create with words. When you say bidva, you're acknowledging that words have creative power, that speech shapes reality, that what you declare, you create. This is why the prayer works. Not because you're asking God for money, but because you're aligning your consciousness with the creative power of speech. And when your consciousness is aligned, when your words are aligned, when your frequency is aligned, you create wealth. Not by begging, but by declaring. Not by asking, but by speaking into existence. Now let me tell you why most people will say this prayer and nothing will happen. Because they'll say the words without understanding. They'll recite the prayer without consciousness. They'll speak without alignment. And words without consciousness are empty. Prayer without understanding is useless. Speech without alignment is powerless. Let me give you an example. I had a client named David. David learned this prayer. He was excited. He thought finally a magic prayer for wealth. So he said it every day, multiple times a day for months, and nothing happened. His financial situation didn't change. His income didn't increase. His debt didn't decrease. He came to me frustrated. Rabbi, I've been saying the prayer every day. Why isn't it working? I asked him, when you say the prayer, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? What consciousness are you bringing to it? He said, I'm thinking, please God, give me money. I need money. I'm desperate for money. I said, that's the problem. You're saying words of abundance, but you're thinking thoughts of lack. You're speaking blessings, but you're feeling desperation. You're praying from scarcity, not from abundance. He said, but I am in scarcity. I don't have money. How can I pray from abundance when I'm broke? And that's the question. That's the key. That's what separates those who attract wealth from those who repel it. Let me explain. When you pray this prayer, you're not praying from where you are. You're praying from where you're going. You're not acknowledging your current lack. You're declaring your future abundance. You're not saying, I don't have. You're saying, God provides. You're not focusing on your empty bank account. You're focusing on the infinite source. This is the consciousness shift. This is the frequency alignment. This is the vessel creation. When David understood this, when he shifted his consciousness, when he started praying from abundance instead of lack, everything changed. He said the same prayer, but with different consciousness, with different intention, with different alignment. And within 3 months, his income doubled. Within 6 months, he paid off his debt. Within a year, he had 6 figures in savings. Same prayer, different consciousness, different results. Now, let me teach you how to say this prayer correctly. How to align your consciousness. How to create the vessel. Step 1, before you say the prayer, take 3 deep breaths. This is not just relaxation. This is consciousness preparation. This is frequency tuning. With each breath, you are releasing stress. You are releasing anxiety. You are releasing the consciousness of lack. Breathe in peace. Breathe out fear. Breathe in abundance. Breathe out scarcity. Breathe in faith. Breathe out doubt. 3 deep breaths. Prepare your consciousness. Tune your frequency. Step 2, visualize the source. Before you say the words, visualize infinite abundance. Visualize a fountain of wealth that never runs dry. Visualize a river of prosperity that never stops flowing. This is not fantasy. This is reality. This is the truth about God's nature. God is infinite abundance. God is endless provision. God is unlimited supply. And you're connecting to that. You're aligning with that. You're tapping into that. See it, feel it, know it. Step 3, say the prayer with intention, not mechanically, not robotically, not mindlessly, with intention, with consciousness, with alignment. Baruka Adonai, I recognize you as the source, Elohim. I trust you as the sovereign. I align with your creative power. Feel each word, mean each word, embody each word. Step 4, declare your abundance. After you say the prayer, don't immediately go back to thoughts of lack. Don't immediately return to consciousness of scarcity. Instead, declare, I am blessed. I am provided for. I am abundant. Wealth flows to me easily. Opportunities come to me naturally. I am a vessel for divine prosperity, not as a lie, not as pretending, but as a declaration, as a creation, as a speaking into existence. Step 5, act from that consciousness. This is the most important step. Don't just pray and then sit on the couch waiting for money to appear. Pray and then act. Pray and then move forward. Pray and then create the vessel. Make the call, send the email, launch the product, start the business, take the step. Act from the consciousness of abundance, not from the consciousness of scarcity. And watch what happens. Watch how opportunities appear. Watch how doors open. Watch how wealth flows. Now let me tell you 3 stories of people who use this prayer collectively and transform their financial reality. Story number 1, Sarah. Sarah was a single mother, 3 kids, working 2 jobs, barely surviving. She learned this prayer and she said it every morning before work. But she didn't just say the words. She aligned her consciousness. She visualized the source. She declared her abundance. She acted from faith. And within 1 month, she got the promotion at her primary job, Forte Array. Within 3 months, she started a side business that made more than her second job. So she quit the second job. Within 6 months, her side business was making more than both her jobs combined. Within a year, she was financially free, working for herself, making more money than she ever thought possible. She told me, Rabbi, the prayer didn't magically create money, but it shifted my consciousness. And when my consciousness shifted, I started seeing opportunities I couldn't see before. I started taking actions I was too scared to take before. I started believing I deserved abundance, and the universe responded. Story number 2, Michael. Michael was an entrepreneur. He had a business, but it was struggling, barely breaking even, constantly stressed about money. He learned this prayer, and he said it every day before making business decisions. But he didn't just say the words. He aligned his consciousness. He trusted God's sovereignty. He acted from abundance instead of scarcity, and his entire business transformed. He stopped discounting out of fear. He started charging what he was worth. He stopped chasing clients. He started attracting them. Within 3 months, his revenue doubled. Within 6 months, it tripled. Within a year, he had the 7-figure business. He told me, Rabbi, the prayer didn't bring me clients. but it changed how I showed up. It changed how I made decisions. It changed how I valued myself. And when I changed, my business changed. Story number 3, Rachel. Rachel was in massive debt, over $100,000. Credit cards, student loans, medical bills. She was drowning. She learned this prayer and she said it every day, sometimes multiple times a day. But she didn't just say the words. She recognized God as the source. She trusted God's provision. She declared her freedom from debt and she took action. She created a plan. She cut expenses. She increased income. She negotiated with creditors. Within 1 year, she paid off $50,000. Within 2 years, she was completely debt-free. Within 3 years, she had $100,000 in savings. She told me, "Rabbi, the prayer didn't magically erase my debt, but it gave me faith. It gave me strength. It gave me the belief that I could overcome. And that belief changed everything." Do you see the pattern? The prayer works, but not as magic, as consciousness, as alignment, as vessel creation. The prayer shifts how you think, how you feel, how you act, how you show up, how you make decisions. And when you shift, your reality shifts. When you align, abundance flows. When you create the vessel, God fills it. Now, let me address the objection. I know you're thinking, "Rabbi, this sounds too simple. Just say a prayer and attract wealth. That can't be real." You're right. It's not that simple. Because it's not just about saying the prayer. It's about becoming the prayer. It's about embodying the consciousness. It's about aligning with the frequency. It's about creating the vessel. A prayer as a tool. The prayer is the key, but you have to insert it. You have to turn it. You have to open the door. The key doesn't open the door by itself. You have to use it. The same is true with this prayer. The prayer doesn't attract wealth by itself. You have to align with it. You have to embody it. You have to act from it. And when you do, when you truly align, when you truly embody, when you truly act, the wealth comes not as magic, but as manifestation, as creation, as the natural result of consciousness, aligned with abundance. Let me close with this. This prayer is ancient. It's been said by Jewish people for thousands of years, before every meal, before every drink, in gratitude, in recognition, in alignment. And Jewish people as a group have created more wealth per capita than any other group in history. Not because they are smarter, not because they are luckier, but because they understand this principle. They understand that God is the source. They understand that words create reality. They understand that consciousness determines experience. And they pray from that understanding. They speak from that alignment. They act from that consciousness. And wealth flows not to all of them, but to those who truly understand, to those who truly align, to those who truly embody. You can be one of them. You can access this ancient wisdom. You can align with this frequency. You can create this vessel. Say the prayer. Understand the prayer. Embody the prayer. Act from the prayer. And watch your financial reality transform. In the comments below, tell me, will you commit to saying this prayer every day for 30 days? And if this video opened your eyes to a new understanding of prayer and wealth, subscribe to this channel. Next week, I'm going to teach you the ancient Jewish practice of tzedakah and how giving actually multiplies your wealth. Remember, blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, by whose word everything came to be. Say it, mean it, embody it, and watch what happens. Shalom. and until next time. But before you go, I need to give you one more piece of wisdom, one more key that will determine whether this prayer works for you or not. The prayer I just taught you is powerful, but it's not the only prayer you need. It's not the complete formula. It's the foundation, the starting point, the consciousness shift. But there is a second prayer, a companion prayer, a prayer that completes the circuit, a prayer that seals the vessel. And that prayer is gratitude. You see, the first prayer, Baradola, is about recognizing the source, acknowledging God's creative power, aligning with infinite abundance. But the second prayer, gratitude, is about receiving, about acknowledging what you already have, about creating space for more. In the Talmud it says, "Who is rich? He who is satisfied with his portion." Satisfaction comes from gratitude, and gratitude creates the vessel for more abundance. Think of it like this. If you have a cup that's already full, can you pour more water into it? No. The water will overflow. It will be wasted. But if you drink from the cup, if you empty it, if you create space, then more water can be poured in. Gratitude is how you empty the cup. Gratitude is how you create space. Gratitude is how you prepare the vessel for more. When you're grateful for what you have, you're saying to the universe, I receive, I acknowledge, I appreciate it, I'm ready for more. But when you're ungrateful, when you're always focused on what you don't have, when you're always complaining about lack, you're saying, I didn't receive, I didn't acknowledge, I'm not ready for more. And the universe responds accordingly. So here's the complete formula, the full practice, the entire prayer protocol. Morning. Say the abundance prayer at Adonai Eloha. Align your consciousness with the source. Recognize God's creative power. Declare your connection to infinite abundance. Evening. Say the gratitude prayer. Thank you, God, for everything I received today. Thank you for the money that came in. Thank you for the opportunities that appeared. Thank you for the blessings I experienced. Thank you for the abundance that's flowing to me. Even if it was a hard day, even if you didn't make much money, even if things didn't go as planned, find something to be grateful for. Find the abundance that did show up. Find the blessing that did appear. Because gratitude is not about denying reality. It's about shifting focus. It's about training your consciousness to see abundance instead of lack. And when you train your consciousness to see abundance, create more abundance. When you focus on blessings, you attract more blessings. When you acknowledge what you have, you receive more. I had a client who did this practice religiously. Every morning, the abundance prayer. Every evening, the gratitude prayer for 30 days straight. No exceptions, no excuses, no skipping. And here's what happened. In the first week, nothing changed. His income was the same. His circumstances were the same. His bank account was the same, but his consciousness was changing. His perspective was shifting. His focus was transforming. In the second week, small things started appearing. A refund check he forgot about. A client who paid early. A discount on a bill. Small things, but things he would have missed before. Things he would have dismissed before. Things he would have taken for granted before. But now, because of the gratitude practice, he noticed, he acknowledged, he appreciated. In the third week, bigger things started appearing. A new client, a raise at work, an unexpected bonus. And in the fourth week, everything shifted. He got a job offer, double his current salary, better benefits, better opportunities. He took it, and his entire financial reality transformed. He told me, Rabbi, I don't know if it was the prayer or the gratitude or the combination, but something shifted. My consciousness changed. And when my consciousness changed, my reality changed. That's the power. That's the formula. That's the complete practice. Morning abundance prayer, align with the source. Evening gratitude prayer, acknowledge what you received. Action.